There is this historical anecdote that I really enjoy. During British colonial rule in India, late 19th or early 20th century, the administration in Delhi faced a serious problem. Too many venomous cobras slithering through the city. They were dangerous, responsible for plenty of deaths. So the officials came up with what they thought was a clever solution: pay a bounty for every dead cobra. The Brits patted themselves on the back. Problem solved, right? Except something unexpected happened. Enterprising locals realized cobras could be turned into cash crops. They started breeding them in secret. Kill them, claim the bounty, rinse and repeat. When the British finally caught on, they had to scrap the policy altogether, leaving breeders to release their now worthless cobras back into the city. The result? More snakes than before. True or not, this story has become the classic example of what can go wrong when you try to shape behavior with incentives. Because as the colonial rulers learned, sometimes your attempt to control people's behavior doesn't just fail, it blows up in your face. History is full of these moments. In this video, I want to dig deeper into the idea of incentives as a kind of mind control. Not just the heavy-handed schemes of governments and corporations, but the small, personal tricks we use on ourselves. The little systems we set up to eat better, exercise more, or finally finish reading Infinite Jest. By the end, you'll see why these plans often fail, and maybe get a better sense of how to avoid the same trap. The first thinker who really took incentives seriously was Adam Smith, the famous economist behind The Wealth of Nations, the so-called godfather of modern capitalism. Smith noticed something simple but profound. People act in self-interest. That self-interest is an incentive to work, trade, and innovate. He called it the invisible hand. People seeking their own gain often end up helping others by producing what they want. A baker doesn't bake bread because he loves you. He does it to make a living. So whenever you design a system, an economy, a company, even your daily routine, you're really designing incentives. People, as Smith put it, respond to incentives, maybe the single most important lesson in all of economics. Later thinkers built on that idea. Economists like David Ricardo and game theorists like John von Neumann show that incentives get complicated when you have whole groups of people reacting to each other. Incentives can align or they can clash. They can create cooperation, conflict, or even strange stable patterns. One key insight is something called the principal-agent problem. The incentives for someone giving orders don't always match the incentives for someone carrying them out. The agent can game the system to maximize their own reward, even if it damages the principal's goals. And that's exactly what happened with cobras in India. More recent thinkers like Daniel Kahneman and Richard Thaler added another layer. People don't respond perfectly to incentives. We're biased, we crave short-term rewards and ignore long-term consequences. Incentives never exist in a vacuum. When people, governments, companies, anyone forget how incentives actually work, the results can be, well, spectacularly bad. Few examples. Government crop subsidies can lead to overproduction, waste, and damage to the environment. Welfare rules that cut off aid, if you earn even a little, discourage people from working, trapping them in poverty instead of helping them escape it. In the US, fee-for-service healthcare pays doctors and hospitals for doing more, not for keeping people healthy. The result? More tests, procedures, and costs go insane. Tying teacher pay or school funding to standardized test scores can push teachers to teach to the test, or worse, fudge the results. Executive bonuses based on short-term stock prices invite cooking the books, reckless bets, even market crashes. Rent control is meant to keep housing affordable, but more often it gives landlords little reason to maintain or even offer units. Over time, quality declines and new construction slows, making the shortage even worse. Incentives don't just encourage, they also distort. They invite gaming. They change behavior in ways that are often hard to predict and even harder to control. Of course, it's not all hopeless. Incentives can be designed well. Good incentives align interests instead of setting them against each other. Governments sometimes get it right. Paying farmers not to overproduce to prevent soil depletion is one example. Charging congestion fees to reduce traffic at rush hour is another. Businesses can get smarter too. Profit sharing that rewards sustainable growth rather than short-term manipulation. Customer service bonuses tied to real satisfaction, not just sales volume. But this isn't just for governments and corporations. We all set incentives for ourselves. every day. If you want to eat better, don't just rely on sheer willpower. Change what food you keep around. Make the better choice easier and the worse choice harder. Economists call this choice architecture. The way choices are organized shapes how we decide. If you want to exercise more, don't set vague goals. Build a routine that rewards simply showing up, not just personal records or heroic workouts. If you want to learn, don't reward yourself for just reading. Reward real understanding, concrete tasks, solving tough problems. The secret is, incentives aren't blunt weapons. They're levers you can actually tune. Because they're everywhere. If you don't think about them carefully, they'll shape you in ways you never intended. But if you pay attention, if you design them thoughtfully, they can help you become the person you actually want to be. This is Think Why. I'm your critical thinking professor. Here, we dig into how to grow, improve, and see the world just a little more clearly. If you want to keep exploring these ideas, hit subscribe and share your thoughts below. See you next time.